It's a milestone for Northern Territory Labor. It's 10 years today Labor swept to power, and both the current and former Chief Ministers say they're proud of what the party has achieved in that time. But while Labor congratulates itself, critics say little has been done to broaden the Territory's economic base or tackle chronic Indigenous disadvantage.
Claire Martin and Labor swept into power on a wave of economic expectation and promises of Indigenous reconciliation. Soon the cranes and high-rises sprang up.
Growing the economy was enormous. I mean, it meant the difference between losing population here, people not having jobs.
22,000 new jobs in the Territory in the last 10 years.
The country Liberals had locked in ConocoPhillips. With the next gas boom still just a promise, slow land release has overinflated prices, while the economy and population again flatline.
It's become too expensive because they failed to release land.
Claire Martin's second term decimated CLP ranks, but inaction on child protection in Indigenous communities opened the door to the federal intervention and her undoing.
These days you feel as though that every Territorian has to go and ask the federal government permission to do whatever.
Indigenous people gained more rights over land and sea, but former Labor Minister Alison Anderson is among those disappointed by efforts to improve housing and economic development.
Really nothing's changed out there for Aboriginal people.
The government, which repealed mandatory sentencing, has now toughened laws and imprisoned more Indigenous people as violent crime rates rise.
I'm afraid they get a D- as far as our association's concerned if what counts is lowering the crime rate and consequently the imprisonment rate.
Labor's environmental record has been marred with oil spills and harbour spills. The health system is struggling to cope. Remote school attendance and results have got worse, but secondary education has extended to remote areas.
And we're now seeing 150 kids are going to graduate from the bush with a secondary education.
Paul Henderson almost lost his first election as Chief Minister. Instead of spending on industrial infrastructure, he chose to try to shore up support by spending on lifestyle projects.
We need to spend a lot of money on the port. The roads are in a shocking state.
Labor is dependent on Jerry Wood's support, but he sees little distinction from the country Liberals.
Labor moved towards the centre when they were elected. They all of a sudden became very friendly with big business and developers.
After 3 terms in power and with an unpopular federal Labor government in Canberra, Territory Labor will have to raise its game if it's to win another election. The opposition would have to do a lot more to present a credible alternative. Jane Barton, ABC News.